Welcome back to the Road to Nationals. Today we look at the Tuff Truck category, which is a new one for me. Let's do it. Now in the past, the RCCA events were mini, sporty, pro MOA, and then they experimented with including the performance scale, which is like your C2s. More recently, we've seen clubs also integrating Class 1 or Scale 1, as well as including Super, which is like a larger rear steer capable version of the Pro MOA. The Australian Nats next year are also including the Tuff Truck category, which is based on the Tuff Truck events of real life, where you've got your tube bodies. And in fact, the rule sheet for Tuff Truck isn't actually very big, but it says this class is aimed at the full tube style buggies and cars, such as the Capra, and the custom chassis built to resemble what you would see at Tuff Truck and Ultimate Rock Sports events. Performance-based Class 2 cars are not what the class is about. So even though you could use your Class 2 or your performance scale class car and meet the rules, it doesn't meet the spirit of the comp. What they're after is tube style chassis. This is like the most vanilla version of it using the Capra, and I'm sure there'll be all sorts of custom jobbies out there. I'm quite busy. I like the Capra, so I've decided to go with that. Now, I've made some posts in Instagram recently showing my little conversion. I have had an idea here. One of the things they said was, oh, it's a 1.9 class. You could run 2.2s, but it's a 5.4 inch limit. They're saying 5.4 inches is the biggest tire diameter allowed. I actually have some beautiful trenches I bought just for this, but I wasn't paying attention, which is typical for me at first. 5.75 they are, so I can't use those 2.2s. I've decided to use these 1.9 Boom Racing Aggressors because I like them, and they really suit this kind of build we've got going here. Now the other thing to note here is it's drive shaft style only, one motor, so that suits your Capra. Dig is allowed and encouraged, great. Rear steer is allowed and encouraged. Well, that's where this video gets interesting. Overdrive percentage is free, wheelbase is free. Really, physics and sensibility will keep you from going too wide or too long, because with a small enough wheel, you go too wide, aside from having to get through gates, you're going to start really diffing out. Now, I happen to have a pair of axles I've had sitting around for, oh, I don't know, a couple of years now. And it's these guys here. They're metal portals. But the reason I haven't been able to really use them is that they're geared so highly. I mean, take a look at this. There we go. So this is the front with the ones I'm talking about. You watch the speed difference here. I've done the maths, it's 47% or 46 point something percent difference. Or conversely, I'll move these slowly and look how fast they go. So what I did was, given that this is just going to be used for getting through gates, we're not trailing with it or anything like that, the overdrive is too high, but not too high, if you know what I mean. I've taken the stock front axle with my Holmes SHV 500 and moved it to the back, and then I've had to fiddle a bit to make it work, but I've got this on the front with another SHV 500 here. This gives us a beautiful overdrive. It's too much overdrive, and I'm thinking I might just have to stick overdrive gears into the rear for the Capra, which are available, and that'll bring the ratio closer to maybe 33% or something like that, give or take, possibly a bit higher, 37%. I'd like to slow it to narrow the difference a bit, but it's still quite drivable right now. What makes this so special though, aside from the fact that we can get some pretty ridiculous angles out of it, is this. I'm using my Sanwa MT4. Now this is the controller I use for my Pro MOA, which I recently showed you guys on the first Road to Nationals video. You can check that out here if you haven't seen it. The MT4 isn't made anymore, but it has a lever here. It's an analog lever, and it does the same thing as this guy. So I've got rear steer here, and I've got front steer here, and I've got a dig here where I can lock the rear axle briefly and pop it out again. So that's my control. It makes filming with one hand and driving with the other very difficult, because I'm already using this and this with that, plus that. I could steer with it as well, but I've got 3 different functions. I just can't do it. We're going to use a tripod today. I thought I'd show off what I've made because it's taken me a few evenings just to try and get this right. I've got the HobbyWing R2, and it's an 1800 kV motor. That's inside there, that's a 540. We're running, of course, on my little competition size. Well, this is for the larger machines, 700 milliamp hour 3S. We're running one motor, but two beefy servos here. I would also run this in my MOA, which has two motors. Sometimes you just need the extra power, but all my other comp stuff runs a little 450 because the comp course is only 5 minutes long. It's fully waterproof, very capable. I think we might just try and pop it over the 6 problems just to see how it drives. Let's go do that. Here's how steering works. Front, rear, and it beeps. All the beeping you'll hear is when it goes back to the center point, which is useful for certain other kinds of cars. And dig is my button here. So, yeah. Right, this is problem 1. Let's see how far we get. My approach, look at this silly overdrive, it is too high. My approach is to keep the rear straight unless I need it. But, man, yeah, the overdrive really wants to be tamed. Now, we're getting stuck on the rear here, so this is where I'd hit rear steer to reposition. This is really going to take some practice because there's quite a lot to manage mentally. But I think taking my time is going to yield results. So if I want to shift the rear over, we can do that and straighten up. And even, it'll bring us round. Once I'm happy with the position, I don't need to do this, but I could dig my way down to the bottom. Problem 1, easy peasy. So there's rear. It's good, eh? I think problem 2 is going to be probably the most difficult one for this car on account of its length and small wheels, although if we get the positioning right, oh yep, there we go. I don't know why I thought that would be hard. It wasn't. Oh, I love this rear steering. Look at that. Look how long it makes the wheelbase on one side. Isn't that bananas? Very cool. It's a lovely smooth transmission on this thing too. Alright. Oh, there we go. So sometimes even just getting the line is the big one. Alright, so we can't get traction in the rear here, but this is where rear steer could be helpful. Because if I want to dig this rear left in, I can aim it away from myself and try and get the edges to grab like that, and look at it go. This is quite a thing. Alright. Into problem 4. I can see this is going to take some practice to get my head around the available options here. I think my first order of business is to get overdrive gears into that rear to speed it up a bit. I'm happy with the front. I don't think I've got gears available for the front either, so it really has to be the rear. And there's not enough room in the axial to throw any kind of reduction gearing in between to get it slower to the front, so that might be what we have to do. I thought about it. You could try mounting like a reverse Vanquish system, or like the deluxe hamburger in reverse, so it throws overdrive to the rear to slow it down a bit, because these front gears are just so fast. Alright, so again we haven't got traction, but if I try changing that rear steer until something grips, I think we'll get there. Yeah, we will. It's a bit messy. There we go. So we crabbed our way, and look, we're going to crab walk again because I want to come towards us. Look at that. And now we're good. Straighten up the rear. And we're home. So that was messy, but that's largely because of my lack of ability. I'm still getting used to this whole system, but I've just got to practice, I think. Right, problem 5. I have been talking about overdrive and getting that rear axle sorted and practice, but the other factor here Oh, maybe some bent links could help. But aside from all of that, there is also the option of changing tyres, changing wheels. These are 4.75s. I could go up to 5.4 according to the rules in either 1.9 or 2.2 wheels, because diameter does actually make quite a difference. And with problem 5 in this car, there are almost no wrong answers. That's beautiful, isn't it? Problem 5 is done. Okay, we'll have a bash at problem 6. Yeah, we do want that speed difference lower. Hey, just listen for a sec. Listen how quiet that is. It's such a lovely system, the HobbyWing. Right now, I'm just gonna dig, trying to dig. I was just trying to modulate the rear, just to try and massage it through all these potholes. Problem 6 is just a hodgepodge of rocks and holes. I really would like more speed in that rear for this. There we go. I think that'll be alright though. So now we can steer straight and it'll pick it up. Oh dear, oh dear. I'll just come back. I think we nearly had that. This is me still learning, but with some practice I'm going to get smooth at this. Right now it's a very conscious effort to keep things controlled. Fun though. I think my trick here is to keep those rear wheels pretty straight. Oh, we're all bound up now. Oh no, we could be good. Sometimes just changing your perspective can make a difference too. It's close. Was close. Oh dear. I've just got dig engaged here to lock the rear. And then I popped out of dig by accident. Surely this thing can do 6. The overdrive is actually hurting us here, somewhat. It could also just be the driver. Getting the line really matters. I've been intentionally leaving those rears straight because I think that might be the way. It's also resting just at the start of those links. I do wonder whether bent rear links could help. Yeah, okay, so we've got it now. It's pretty nice, eh? It did all 6 problems without rear steering with the big 5.75 inch trenches on, and it just walked it. With these smaller wheels, obviously it's struggling a bit more. In particular, problem 6, you saw how when it was getting stuck I could just shift the rear wheel to shift the whole position of the car and then get traction where I wouldn't have been able to if they were just set straight. So that was good. I think I might try a few different tyre combos. I can go up to 5.4 inches. These are only 4.75. I also might consider buying the Proline Boggers, I guess, because even if you've got more ordinary tread and rubber, just the sheer diameter of the tyres can really make a difference on certain problems. I do want to keep the weight down. I did note also when we were driving that it was scraping quite a bit under here, so I'll have to think about that. I might consider bent links for the rear as well, but I think tyre size and secondly getting an appropriate tread might be the way to go. I do actually quite like these. These are the Boom Racing Aggressors. I'll stick a link to these in the description. They're nice tyres. I mean, look at the tread on them. They're kind of crazy aggressive. I don't typically like this kind of lug for rock crawling, but these have surprised me. They've been quite good. I'm going to keep fiddling on this. I've got till the end of March to be ready for it. But this was my my first demo of what I'm building, what I've built. I'm pretty happy with it so far. Throw me a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you again on RC-TNT. Thanks for watching.